difference between average life expectancy from birth and modal age. Modal age is what's the average age that people actually die at? How old do people get to if they die of old age? Those are different things. How long people live if they don't get killed by something. And average life expectancy from birth, very different things. Infant mortality was like 3 out of 5. You had to have those other two people living a very long time. A lot of people died in wars and famines in early age. Basically, that 1 in 5 had to live a hell of a lot longer just to pull that average up to 36, 38. But if you lived to 10 years old, it was 60. And if you lived to 20, it was longer. And you lived to 30, it was longer. If you got through those kill points in early age, people lived a very long time. Parents think that strict carnivore is bad. Father in his late 60s is too skinny, is on statins. Thoughts on that? Effects on the brain. Keto for him if he won't do carnivore, question mark. How much fat intake? He needs more muscle and healthy body weight. Yeah, look, if it's understandable. I mean, this goes against a lot of people, what people have been saying for the last sort of 50 years. However, it goes exactly in accordance with what doctors and researchers have been saying for thousands and thousands of years. The meat's very important. It's very healthy. It's very critical to have for optimal health and longevity. And we did not have the chronic diseases and Alzheimer's that we've had previously, or that we've had recently. So, and oh well, people just didn't live long enough. Stupid statement. Of course we did. Socrates was 76 when he was terrorizing Athens with his intellect 2,500 years ago or so. When they killed him with a plant, by the way, they made him drink hemlock, and so where was his Alzheimer's? And there was nothing in Plato or anybody's writing. It was just like, oh my God, he was just the oldest guy in the world. I mean, it was just amazing. I mean, we had PhD programs, going back how many hundreds of years? I mean, it's just 1,000 years, and you have, people that were, finishing their education in their late 20s and then going on in their career, and they only lived 10 more years after that. Pretty foolish to waste your time getting a PhD, an advanced degree, and going in academia if you're just going to like work your ass off and then die 10 years later. I mean, this is stupid. Just look at the ages of the founding fathers of America and when they died. My great grandfather was born in 1875. He died in 1975 at home, fully compos mentis. This is stupid. So Alzheimer's was first described it was a one-off case report from Dr. Alzheimer's that he presented at a conference in 1906. And it was brand new. No one had ever seen this before. That's why he presented this. Wow, look at this weird new case. And then it got coined Alzheimer's dementia. And now it's extremely prevalent, and deaths from Alzheimer's is on the rise, even when adjusting for age. So no, this isn't something that's been going on forever, and we just didn't notice it, or people weren't living long enough to get it. That's foolish. That's someone who's never looked at the statistics, never looked at the modal age. It's the difference between average life expectancy from birth and modal age. Modal age is how what's the average age that people actually die at? How old do people get to if they die of old age? Those are different things than how long people live if they don't get killed by something, and modal age, how long people tend to live when they live to adulthood. And average life expectancy from birth, very different things. Infant mortality was like 3 out of 5, right? So you had to have those other two people living a very long time. A lot of people died in wars and famines in early age, and so that basically that 1 in 5 had to live a hell of a lot longer just to pull that average up to 36, 38. I think it was 38. Average life expectancy from birth was 38 in 1850. But if you lived to 10 years old, it was 60. And if you lived to 20, it was longer. And you lived to 30, it was longer, right? So if you got through those kill points in early age, people lived a very long time, right? So no, that's ridiculous. But keto has been shown. Keto is the most studied diet ever. And Dr. Rob Sivas said in our interview the other day. That'll be coming out in the next couple of weeks. Really interesting guy. And he was saying, I sort of mentioned that, and he was just like, it's the only diet that's been studied, because the other diets are just, have a questionnaire. You get the nurses study, and you give them a questionnaire once a year, and you say, hey, what did you eat in the last year? How the hell would you know that with any accuracy? I mean, it's just ridiculous. And so that's the quality of data on these other diets. Ketogenic diets have randomized controlled trials in large numbers with multiple health outcomes and endpoints by the thousands, right? So this is really the only really well-studied diet. It's certainly the most rigorously studied diet ever. And those studies have shown that a high-fat, meat-based ketogenic diet is a better treatment for Alzheimer's than every medication for Alzheimer's ever trialed. That's what the studies have shown. People are reversing Alzheimer's. And if you're going to reverse it, you can certainly prevent it by going on ketogenic diets, like a carnivore diet. It doesn't even necessarily have to be carnivore, but you just need to eat more meat, more fat. That's what your brain is made out of, like we were talking about before. And you're in ketosis, so your brain is getting ketones. It's running on its optimal fuel source. It's getting ketones in there to reconstruct into fatty acids and rebuild the structures of the brain. And you're getting nutrients like B12 that are integral for myelination of your axons, which will actually give bulk to your brain. There was a study in 2008 out of Oxford that looked at, part of it was looking at vegans. They followed them for 5 years, looked at them on MRI, and found that their brains shrank by 5% volume. And they thought this was likely due to their critically low B12, which was 180, 190. And that's in the normal ranges now for B12, because again, we're just so deficient. Just people are going, oh, plant-based. Everyone's plant-based. People don't realize that, oh, you need to go plant-based. You're already plant-based. The average Western diet is plant-based. It's like 70, 80% plants, right? And so, it's just processed plants. There's barely any meat in there. It's not the meat that's doing that. It's all the other plants and garbage that they're putting in it. Seed oils, sugars, all this crap. And, so that's what the problem is. So being on statins, why do we need to be on statins? To lower LDL. Okay, well, is LDL actually a problem? I don't think it is. I think the evidence is very clear that this was just a scapegoat. There's no serious scientist actually independently said, I think cholesterol is a really big problem here. It was the sugar companies who came up with that. And then they found people like Ansel Keys and other professors, 3 from Harvard in particular. One became the head of the USDA, who they could buy off and say, hey, you need to push this. We want to get this out there that cholesterol causes heart disease. And they're like, sure, my integrity is non-existent. I'll be happy to. And so they did that. And we know they did that because we have their contracts. We have the internal memos from the sugar companies saying that they did this. And so, this is a matter of record. It's not a conjecture. It's not up for debate. You don't need a study or a flyer or a survey from nurses once a year to figure that out. We have this documented. This is a known entity. And so cholesterol was never the problem. And they keep shifting the goalposts. They said, oh, total cholesterol, that's the problem. Then you have all these different kinds of cholesterol. And they're like, okay, there's good cholesterol and there's bad cholesterol. And that didn't really work out either. There's 100 different kinds of LDL cholesterol. And, okay, well, maybe this one, maybe that one. No, they're all bad. And, maybe this. And now they're like, okay, well, that's not really holding up either, because people with higher cholesterol, LDL cholesterol of any description, live longer. I'm like, ooh, okay. And there's inverse correlations in some studies with total cholesterol and cardiovascular death, like the Framingham study. That's what their actual data showed, but it was misreported by the AHA, American Heart Association, who was being paid off by the sugar companies to lie and say that it was the opposite, and that higher cholesterol, higher cardiovascular mortality rate. In fact, it was the opposite: lower total cholesterol, higher cardiovascular mortality rate. And so they went, oh, okay, well, that's not, well, now it's ApoB. Oh, ApoB. Oh my God. It's just, they're just banging the same drum. And every time you just show how full of shit they are, they just move to the next thing, move to the next thing. It's just classic misdirection. They're just it's just red herrings. They're just trying to keep you looking over here. Don't mind the man behind the curtain. Just look over here. Look over here. It's nonsense. And the sooner we just get away from this and just say, look, it's bullshit. It was always bullshit. It's bullshit now. We're not talking about it. The sooner this goes away. If we keep just playing this game and they keep saying, well, but it's this, well, but it's this, well, but it's this, we're never going to get anywhere. Right? So we just stop talking to these people about it.
Hey guys, just want to take a second to thank our sponsor, Carnivore Bar. I don't promote many products because honestly, all you need to be healthy is to just eat meat. For those times that you're out hiking, road tripping, or stuck at work and you want a nutritious snack that is just meat, fat, and salt if you want it, the Carnivore Bar is a great option. So I like this product not because it's just pure meat, but also because I want the carnivore market to thrive as well. And the more we support meat-only products, the more meat-only products there will be available in the mainstream. So if this sounds like something you'd like to get behind, check it out using my discount code Anthony to get 10% off, which also applies to subscriptions, giving you 25% off total. All right, thanks guys.
First heart attack in America, first death by heart attack on autopsy in America was in 1912. First case of Alzheimer's was 1906, right? So where was this before that? Oh, we just didn't notice before that. Bullshit. Doctors were doing thousands of autopsies and dissections over their career, and you had thousands of people doing thousands of autopsies in any given country, and more in some countries that were bigger. And not a single damn thing in the literature before 1912, except for one obscure reference. And somebody tried to say, it's like, oh, well, there's this reference here in the late 1700s, and they presented at a conference saying that, oh, wow, isn't this weird? We saw this thrombus in the coronary vessel. It's like, isn't that strange? We've never seen that before. And they're like, that's your proof that this was happening all the time, that this is the #1 killer in the world by this one obscure reference 130 years before it's ever seen again. Great job, buddy. And so you have to deal with less than intelligent people when you talk about these things, because they're just trying to defend an ideology. They're convinced of something, and because they think that they're smart, they're the smartest person that they know, and that they say, oh, well, if I think it, it must be true. And so they're just desperately trying to defend why they are not wrong. So again, 130 years, absolutely zero heart attacks. We're eating more meat and fat in the 1800s than we're in the early 1900s, when this became the #1 killer in America. First death by heart attack, proven on autopsy in 1912. 20 years later, it's the #1 killer in America. You do the math. This is at the time where we're eating the least amount of meat in 200 years, U-shaped curve. Beginning of the 1800s, a lot of meat, slowly coming down. It was a big vegetarian push from the puritanicals and the temperance movement, because they're saying meat's sinful, it makes you lustful and makes you want to have sex. And oh my gosh, how could we possibly want to procreate and advance the human race? And then we get down to the 1920s and 30s. It's at the trough, the lowest point in meat consumption in America for 200 years. That's when it becomes the #1 killer in America. And then it sort of comes up from there. So it's not even associated. There isn't even association with this. So, and the thing you have to realize too, for the people that, saw Peter Attia's talk about how familial hypercholesterolemia proves, and, all these other things prove that LDL is causative. Okay, well, if it were causative, why is it that the people with familial hypercholesterolemia in the 1800s didn't die of heart attacks? It's not what they died of, because there isn't a single case reported in the literature. But if people study population genetics, you'll know that the exact same percentage of genes and alleles that exist in the population stay in that population, regardless of time and expansion of the population as a whole, unless there's a mass extinction event or a mass migration event. So, but if we're talking world population, or at least in America, at least in Europe, where we can look at these things and check these things, unless we're saying that, just people from third world countries are the ones getting heart attacks and they've moved into different countries and now they started getting picked up, very unlikely. But, in these Western countries, you have the exact same amount of people having familial hypercholesterolemia now as then, right? And yet no heart attacks. Right. So if high LDL will kill you, and your body just makes the product of its own demise, then, why weren't we seeing that before 1912? Why was there just one obscure reference in the late 1700s? People obviously could see it. These were smart people, and they knew that these people did more dissections than any surgeon alive today. Any of them, like an anatomist, maybe, that spends all day in a lab, but that's what these people were doing. They spent most of their days, they're just in the lab doing dissections, then go out and treat some people, deliver some babies, go back in. That's when Semmelweis actually figured out that there's, microbial infections and things like that, because people were doing dissections on cadavers and doing autopsies, and because that's what people did. And then they'd go and deliver a baby, not wash their hands, go back in and start cutting up dead bodies again. And the infection rate was through the roof on these mothers. So people were always doing dissections. That was a major part of what you did as a doctor in those days, in the 1800s. And, these people figured out the circulatory system hundreds of years ago with no imaging. They figured out how to calculate the number of atoms of gas in a container before you had any way of measuring it with advanced equipment, and it was right. So these people were a hell of a lot smarter than most people alive now, because they had to be. They couldn't rely on technology, and certainly a hell of a lot smarter than anybody who makes this statement that, they just wouldn't have noticed it because they're stupid. Yeah, Da Vinci, who invented a helicopter hundreds of years ago, was a moron. And even though he did thousands of dissections, I'm sure he just wouldn't have noticed a big ass clot in the heart and a big dead chunk of heart muscle. Yeah, just the guy was a moron. You just can't trust these people. So pretty went on a bit of a tangent there. But look, statins, like what do we need those for? To lower LDL cholesterol. But why are we lowering LDL cholesterol? It was a con. It was a farce in the first place. I did a video called "The Truth About Cholesterol and Heart Disease," and I just go into the actual studies that completely run counter to that. And so people want to check that out, they can. Hopefully, your dad eats more meat, more fat. It's good for him. Should really think about what he's trying to accomplish with the statins. There may be some application outside of lowering LDL, but that they have, but you don't want to lower LDL. Higher LDL is associated with longevity and lower all-cause mortality in studies with 12 million participants, and total cholesterol was shown in another study with 44,000 out of Sweden last year, that the two most important biomarkers to predict living over 100 was low fasting insulin and high total cholesterol. So why would you want to lower your cholesterol? I don't. I think that's exactly what we're supposed to do. Maybe people that go on a carnivore diet, ketogenic carnivore diets, they get this massive elevation of LDL. Oh my gosh, it's up there with people with familial hypercholesterolemia. Or maybe that's not the aberration. Maybe they're protected against eating crappy food and lowering their LDL to a suboptimal state. Maybe we're supposed to be there. Maybe that's a better place to be. And maybe when you eat what you're designed to eat and your body works the way it's designed to work and your cholesterol does that, maybe you should think and say, hey, maybe that's where it's supposed to be. Maybe that's where we're designed to be biologically. Maybe we've been eating meat in this, and sometimes in exclusion for thousands of years during ice ages in the Arctic Circle, or people like the Inuit who stayed up there. They've been eating that way for millennia, and their cholesterol is likely going to be like that. So maybe that's what we're supposed to be. Maybe that's what's normal. Maybe when you eat a bunch of carbs and sugar and crap and your cholesterol comes down, maybe that's the aberration. Maybe that's bad. And maybe the people with familial hypercholesterolemia are protected from that. And their body says, nope, we're keeping it up here because that's where it's supposed to be. I think that's how you should think about it. You should question these sorts of things. We should not just be spoon-fed, answers from people that did not, that had their own interests at heart. They're trying trying to sell something. They're trying to push a product, and they're trying to protect their product because their product is toxic to people. And why are we listening to them? Why are we listening to their advice and the advice of the paid shills that were bought off by them? Not great idea. So yeah, keto is certainly better than the alternative. If he's doesn't want to do carnivore, just eat more fat, eat more meat, and you'll put on muscle. Stimulate it. Go for walks. Try to do some exercises and resistance, and should be right. The stimulation of producing more mitochondria and replacing the old, damaged, dirty, dysfunctional mitochondria. And so this is why ketogenic metabolic therapy has been shown in clinical trials to be extremely efficacious in cancers and treating cancers, and presumably the prevention of cancers.